Hey, what's up, everybody? Navid Moazzez here. I'm the creator of Virtual Summit Mastery, and we help people just like you exponentially grow your audience, influence, and revenue. And today I'm joined by my Virtual Summit Mastery graduate, Augustas, and his story is incredibly inspiring. He's originally from Lithuania, now living in Germany. As you're going to hear during his story today, he is now going to travel the world. He's going to go to Mexico. He has changed his entire business and life, and much thanks to virtual summits, and he's hosted a few now and has grown his business quite a lot, as you're going to hear. So I'm really excited to dive in and welcome Augustas. So why don't we get started with Augustas just telling us a little bit who you are, what's your business, and who do you serve right now?
Hello, everyone. So yes, at the moment, I have built, in the last 1 year, I have built an online business, informational business, where I serve Amazon sellers around the world. Originally, I started my online business in this niche, being no one, and I didn't have any contacts. And I just created the first summit about 1 year ago, which was called European Private Label Summit. And it was targeting Amazon sellers in Europe. And I came without any contacts, without any really practical knowledge. I was following the topic quite a lot. And this summit helped me to connect with the experts and to deliver a lot of information to Amazon sellers. And by today, I have already launched 3 summits in total. And of course, I'm planning new summits. And this is great. I have increased, or I have built my email list from 0 to 4,500 people. So it was really successful, I would say.
Awesome. And we got to dive into more specifically your results and everything, but that's awesome. But share a little bit, like before summits, what were you doing? I know you're originally from Lithuania. I think when you started kind of with VSM, you were living in Germany, and you're still in Germany, but it's kind of gonna head off to Mexico pretty soon. So share that with us, and then how you found out even about summits and why you decided to go all in with it.
So I studied computer science, and then already during studies, I was interested in doing programming websites. So this is what I did for probably 15 years, being a freelancer, web developer, sometimes more, sometimes less. And a few years ago, we created a family. We got the first child with my wife. And I had to maintain my family. So I was programming, using my skills, creating websites for others. And this was the only source of income for our family. But I felt tired of this pressure, especially financial pressure, because I couldn't scale my web programming skills because I was paid per hour. And naturally, because I stay a lot on the internet, I was looking for different other ways to earn money online. Of course, I saw some affiliate marketing possibilities, but I didn't really know how to start from zero. And then I have listened in one of the webinars, which was not related to VSM, but someone was talking about virtual summits about 2 years ago, that, it's a great business model. I didn't get how they earn money, because the summits at that time, which I saw, they were free. You can watch for free. And I didn't understand why it's a good business model. And then when I heard some case studies from that webinar, I started to look around for the information about virtual summits, and there was no information besides Navid's blog. And in this blog, I really found a lot of extensive articles which detailed some summit preparation processes, and there were some case studies, and I was really inspired, and I was looking forward afterwards to join the Virtual Summit Mastery.
Awesome. I mean, that's really great. So maybe you found out about the summit and everything there, but I think what's really interesting is that you had no experience when it comes to kind of the niche you went into, at least no practical experience. You didn't have an email list and so on. So can you share more about that, actually, how you with the help of VSM and the community, how you actually refined the topic and how you got in there to actually feel confident enough to host a summit on something you had no experience in?
Well, it was scary. When I committed myself to create a first virtual summit, I knew it Well, actually, I thought I will do it in Lithuanian for my home country, but I knew that I will not earn any money. It will be just more like a donation to the country. But I was considering to do an English summit. I was scared because obviously I had no online business in English market. As you hear from my accent, I'm not like native English speaker, and I still mess up with articles in English because we don't have it in my native language. And I was really, really scared. What helped me to move on with my first summit was the huge community of virtual summit mastery students. We have a private group online where we discuss a lot and help each other. So it helped me to build confidence for me doing that. And of course, when I started to work on my summit, I was working together with other people doing their first summits. So we supported each other a lot. And I was still scared trying to reach out to the A-listers and important people in the niche I chose. And I chose Amazon seller niche, because I was interested in that e-commerce business, selling physical products on Amazon Marketplace. And I ended up for 1 year probably browsing Facebook groups from Amazon sellers, and I saw that they are lacking information about European marketplaces of Amazon. So it just combined very well, virtual summit and information about Amazon in Europe. And since, as I said, I used to do a lot of websites, and I did a lot of non-profit websites, especially they were my projects. I used to collect information. For example, I studied in Denmark, and I collected information for Lithuanian students. So it was my nature to bring information to the audience, and Virtual Summit sounded like a perfect possibility to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, what people might be wondering now if they're watching, they're like, okay, so you went into that niche, that's great, but what about the relationships with influencers and all that? So can you share a little bit about that? Because I assume that you didn't have any of this, so that you actually started from ground zero and that you had to kind of work yourself up. And obviously you use some of the strategies in VSM to kind of make this happen. So can you share more about that? And then we can dive into more of the results you got from this first summit. And what was the name of that first one too?
So the first summit was called European Private Label Summit. And actually, when I started to be interested in Amazon business, I did create some small affiliate page where I promoted a software which is very known in the niche. And I was earning a little bit commissions from my affiliate sales. And with the guy whom I invited first to my summit, he's kind of a celebrity in the industry, and he's the owner of that software. So I had a little bit kind of a reason to approach that guy, saying that I was promoting your product. So it was maybe easier, but also I think I was bringing some brand new concept to the niche of virtual summit. So people which I was contacting later, collecting the speakers, they were interested in this kind of format of information. However, it was not so easy, maybe how it sounds, because probably during the first summit, I sent over 100 invitations, 120, and I got just 26 speakers. So it was really low conversion rate for the first summit. However, I did it. And after the first summit, yes, I found out that in my email list, there are quite big names and known names from the industry who subscribed and watched my event. And since then, some of them got in touch with me. We did something together, like a webinar, or I invited them for the next summit to be speakers. And the next second and the third summits were much easier in terms of collecting speakers, because people kind of knew my name, and they even wanted to be on my summits.
Yeah, totally, because that's kind of a very common experience sometimes, especially as you're starting in the Amazon space. I mean, they are not necessarily always kind of these personal brands are used to doing a ton of interviews. These people are having Amazon businesses, so of course it's going to be maybe a little more challenging, but as you did it now, it gets easier. And I've seen that with so many students, like their summits get bigger and bigger, and it obviously gets easier as you build more relationships. So why don't you share for that first summit, European Private Label Summit, what was the results? I mean, you shared total results, kind of subscribers before, but why don't we kind of break it down summit by summit now? So what was the results for the first summit you did? I think it was a year ago or something like this.
Yes, it was in 2016, September. And of course, I started with 0 3 weeks before the summit started, before the announcement. I started to get first subscribers because one of the speakers just promoted my summit in his Facebook group. And the same day when I got first 100 subscribers, I also got a couple of sales, and I was like very, very excited. So the first summit brought to me, I think there were 1,800 subscribers and about 300 unsubscribed after the event, which is a normal process during summits. So after the first event, I got 1,500 people on my list. In revenue, I think I did about $15,000 or $16,000, which was amazing result for me. I was hearing these kind of numbers from case studies when I just heard about virtual summits, and it was exciting for me to learn how people do that, and I was happy that I managed to do myself.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's incredible for a first summit, and you built relationships and all that. So then you kind of took that success from the first summit. You didn't just sit down and obviously you enjoyed the success you got from this, but then you actually thought about another summit idea. So why don't you share a little bit about that and the results you got from the second summit, which was actually, I think, a niche down or a different topic within the Amazon space. So that's pretty cool that you went into something else too.
So yes, when the first summit finished, I didn't really think of any other summits because I was quite exhausted of this organization and administration of all the emails and contacts. And I thought, all right, 1 year will pass and I will do a second version of the same summit. But 3 weeks passed, I got rested, and one night I just got an idea, boom, for another topic, which was covering more global sellers, not only European Amazon sellers. It was second topic was optimization for Amazon listings, and it was applied to global sellers, not only in Europe, but also in United States and in Japan and in Mexico. And this is how I created a second summit called Seller Optimization Summit. And the results were much better because I had a lot of audience from North America. My first summit attracted a lot of Europeans, obviously, and my second summit had big proportion of US and Canada people. So the result of the second summit was a bit bigger. I think revenue was close to 30,000, including sponsors. So the second summit, I already introduced a paid sponsorship where I raised, I think, about $3,000. So together with the summit all access pass sales, I did almost 30,000 in revenue. And I got another similar number of subscribers. Maybe I think it was 1,700 extra new registrants I got. So after 2 summits, I got 3,300 people in my list.
Yeah, incredible. I love this story so much because you started from ground zero. And as you can see here, if you're watching, I mean, it's kind of the progression for summits. And yes, there's some people, we have case studies of people who have, a groundbreaking, success right away when they're getting 6 figures. But, you have to see here, this is incredible. Like, see where he started and then see where it is now. And we're going to get to kind of how this has changed his business and life too. But before we do that, let's talk about your 4th summit, or the 3rd summit, and I'm sure the 4th one will come at some point. But you actually hosted the same version, European Private Label Summit again. Why don't you share the results and kind of maybe some things you did differently for that one or what you learned as you hosted 2 summits?
So yes, I did the second summit was even more successful than in numbers than the first one, and of course, the summit is not only about earning money; it's about how many people will you reach out, how many people you will help, and even I had the first summit just 1,500 subscribers. I was feeling people were sending me appreciation emails, and you feel energized to create more. So no wonder that I wanted to create my third summit, which was a repetition of the first one, a new year version. I did some changes. During the first summit, I was targeting American audience, but it was a mistake. I realized that for my topic, mostly European people are interested. So my third summit, which was a repetition of European Private Label Summit, I have targeted European people only, and I introduced prices in euros, which later I found out was probably a mistake because I still had American, North American people participating, and I've heard a feedback that most probably some of them might have be confused with prices in euros. So, of course, I thought I will introduce euros because euro exchange rate is better than dollars if you compare the same numbers. Uh, in any way, the result of the third summit was somewhere between the first and the second. So it was better than the first, but worse than the second in results. The total revenue was, I think, about 22,000. It's including the sponsorship fees, which I raised from sponsors. So sponsors paid me over $6,000, and then I got maybe 17 or 16,000 revenue from All Access Pass sales, and I got about another 1,500 people to subscribe to my list.
That's awesome. I mean, you see the ROI is just getting better and better here. And that's just numbers. You're just talking now kind of the revenue and email subscribers. There's some other things that came out of this too. Maybe you can share, I guess, some unexpected things that you got from hosting, now 3 summits. Anything that you didn't even think would happen that now you have, maybe that's relationships, maybe that's some opportunities that came from hosting the summit. So why don't you share that a little bit, Augustas?
So of course, some people even call me expert in the industry. Meanwhile, I'm not calling myself an expert, but people see me as an authority in some way. Also, I got connected to some known podcasters and known people in the industry, and some of them expressed interest to meet in person one day in some conferences or events. And yeah, it's very nice feeling when you see how you serve people. And of course, all these results helped me to improve a little bit my family's life. We started to think more freely. We used to travel a lot with my wife in the past, so we consider ourselves location independent family. That's why doing website developing helped us to move from one place to another in the past. But now with virtual summits, we can allow ourselves more. And after our interview, very soon, a few weeks later, I will be just traveling with my family shortly to US. I was saying this year, at the beginning of this year, when I did second summit, that visiting US is my dream for 2017 and goal for 2018. And here we go. I'm gonna visit US for the first time in my life in 2017. So my dream came true. And afterwards, because we love sun and we like to live in Europe, but living in Central Europe or Eastern Europe is a bit too cold for us. So we will, as you said, we will go to search for a place to live in Mexico for a while. We don't know how long it will last, but I still plan to work on new summits being in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. It makes me smile to hear that you accomplished a really big dream and goal of yours to kind of go to the US and relocate to Mexico for a while because, yeah, as you know, it's colder in Germany. I'm sure it's getting winter soon. At the time of this recording, it's kind of getting fall. But that's awesome. So why don't we recap kind of the total ROI you've gotten from hosting summits with VSM? So what have you gotten from this? And maybe, besides just the summit revenue, like beyond that, what have you seen in your business?
Well, in numbers, so in total, I have now about 4,500 subscribers. Pure summit revenue was 58,000, I think. And of course, I gained a lot of experience. What I love a lot is that now I could start interviewing my niche in 1 hour with any random speaker, I would say. And I could, because I did already about 100 interviews and webinars, which also, thanks to virtual summits, I learned to not to be afraid of camera or not to be afraid of make mistakes during interviews or video recordings or webinars. So you are so relaxed that you can produce more information and serve better the audience. And besides that, I'm thinking if there were any other surprises. I think I'm very pleased that people are writing to me. Every few weeks, I get an email with the companies who want to sponsor my next summits, or they want to do some projects together, which means maybe some GV webinars where I promote their products. Also, I'm getting a new idea to promote softwares in my niche, so I will do regular webinars on Mondays with demos. So I will be in contact with more, I hope, more people, known people in the industry by offering them to be exposed to my audience through regular Monday webinars about different softwares. So I think it will be very interesting to see where it develops.
Yeah, and just one question on this, actually. You mentioned that you're getting a lot more comfortable on camera. I mean, your setup looks great. I mean, that's one of the better ones, from students, obviously, having the lighting and everything. But I mean, not only that, you're, not a native English speaker, so you had to get over that. How did VSM, would you say, help you with this? Maybe you mentioned some peers you kind of connected with and they help you out. And can you share more about this so people get an idea so that they can start from ground zero and still do this, even though they have never done an interview before in their life? I mean, that's where I started personally, as you know, when I did my first one with Pat Flynn. I didn't even know what you guys know now with, getting access to VSM 3.0 soon and everything in between. So can you share more about that?
So, of course, when I joined VSM, as I said, I was really scared to do an English speaking summit. And in the Facebook group, in the private group, we created a small mastermind of several students working on the summits. We were, I think, 5 students, and we started to meet regularly, about once per week, I think. In the end, out of these 5 people, probably only 3 implemented the summits, but it was very important to support each other. I think this is what I recommend to the future students, to have regular mastermind groups where you discuss the progress. And virtual summit program, I think it's very perfect for mastermind groups like this, because no matter in what niche you're doing the summit, the structure how you do the summit is the same. And if you all decide to launch a summit on similar dates or similar months, let's say in 3-4 months time, you all decide to launch a summit. So you are working all together. You are pushing each other to reach out to influencers and then to build a website. And for me, it was very, very important. I think if I would not have had this kind of personal contact with other students, even if I would have watched all the modules of VSM, I would had trouble motivating myself to work on it, because there are a lot of challenges. And especially for me, I had a complex at the beginning with my language, and this non-experience in interviewing other native speakers and known people whose podcasts you were following. And in the end, yeah, I think it worked out great. I decided to not invest too much into my tech setup, but what you see now, I'm using a microphone which costs probably just $60, and webcam, which is another $60 or $70. And all the tech setup was probably less than $200 for the recording of the webinars and interviews.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. And also for people who don't know this, obviously, if you're not in VSM yet, Augustas is one of the most, if not the most helpful person in there. He's been in there for a little while now. And, you know, if you have a question, usually if I'm not answering, usually Augustas is there because he has, you know, kept track of all the posts in VSM. So he kind of links there. I mean, you'll see if you get into the program, what a community this is. It's pretty unique the way we have built it up. Everyone, they're helping you and they're cheering you on, basically. But Augustas, I wanted to touch upon something we talked about a little bit, how your business and life is practically changing thanks to now hosting your summit. So you are doing less website development work and you get to travel more. As you heard, you're achieving your ultimate goal for this year and next year. So can you share more about how has your business and life really changed? Paint a picture for people so they get to understand what you're doing now compared to kind of before you stumble across virtual summits.
So basically, financially, it improved a lot. I would say several times. I don't want to get into details telling the numbers, but I'm getting revenue in my website developing activities, probably the same revenue like before, but I managed to set up in such a way that I'm outsourcing most of the web dev work, website programming work. Of course, my profit is less, but I'm still keeping in contact with old clients. But on top of that, the big portion of my revenue for my family came from Virtual Summit, the business which I built during the virtual summits. And I feel that now I have, because I'm much deeper in my niche with Amazon sellers, I have a mailing list, and it's very nice when I will be traveling to connect to these sellers. And it's nice to see how they support my work. So I will go to New York. Probably I will organize a meeting there with local Amazon sellers. I will go to Mexico. I will try to connect there with some people, maybe from my list. And all this communication with the people, I'm now realizing that my goal, which I set for my life about 3 years ago when I was a bit down, I didn't know what's happening. I thought I'm living proper life. I'm just supporting my family and working by hourly rate, doing website developing. But then I realized I have to serve people. And when you do websites, you're not serving too many people. And I'm so happy to find the virtual summit model, which can serve thousands of people literally within 1 month. And this feels a lot in the energy of financial energy and motivational energy. So I don't know, I feel like I'm flying in the sky when I think what happened in the last 1.5 years since I joined VSM. And I wish the same for others, of course.
Yeah, I love this. And can you share, we talked kind of briefly, you know, the other day, and you told me that you're actually close to hitting 6 figures, you know, combined, or what did you share? Maybe you can share with everyone so they get an idea kind of where you have taken, like starting pretty much from zero. You had your website development business, but now combined, I think it's coming up to closer to 6 figures in this year, or if I'm not mistaken, of course.
Yes, I think I will be reaching this year the revenue of all the business I do. It will be reaching $100,000. It will be on the edge, and for sure I will be crossing that number. And it will include 2 summits this year, also monetization of my email list. I do sometimes affiliate webinars, or I do some promotions to the list. And besides that, I do a little bit of website programming. Maybe by the revenue, I do the same website programming, but by the time I spent on it, it's really became a little bit, just probably less than 20%. And yes, I hope I will be able to increase my revenue next year even more.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you're if you continue doing summits and you position yourself in the Amazon, with Amazon sellers, you're gonna hit a really big summit soon because now everyone knows you and they want to come on your summits. They want to promote them because you kind of increase the quality for each one. You're getting bigger sponsors on board, so it's gonna has this ripple effect that you're gonna see if you watch other case studies and stuff like that from VSM graduates. You can see that some of them, they do just one summit because they want to grow, or one or two, but there's many who actually use summits as a business model. And that's kind of also what we are diving into more in VSM. You can do evergreen summits. I'm sure you're going to set something up there as well, Augustas, but there's so many opportunities there. So if you're watching, definitely watch some other case studies, dive in. Augustas obviously is a great person to be inspired by if you're just starting out and you're feeling maybe you are from Europe or some other country where you're worried about if your accent is going to be too strong to host a summit. But I can tell you it's not. I mean, I'm not from the US or anything like that. So, I mean, I made it happen pretty well for myself. So, Augustas, as we're wrapping up here, why don't you share with people, as you're very active, you're probably one of the, if not the most active student in the Virtual Summit Master community. Can you share with everyone, if they're on the fence to join VSM, what do you have to say to them right now?
Well, to me, Virtual Summit business model really changed my private life and my online business life. So obviously, I would recommend this to do this kind of event yourself. Maybe it will not change your life, but you will serve much more people probably than you are doing right now in your business. Depends, of course, on your business scale at the moment. But besides that, what is unique about Virtual Summit Mastery student community is that there are, I think, more than 300 people in the group, and they are covering a lot of different niches by their profession. So even if there is a question probably not about Virtual Summit, people can help you out or find different different experts to talk in your summits. And I think this was why I left VSM as a program. Of course, there might be some similar programs in the industry, but VSM's community is hard to beat, I think, because without community, the rate of success of students would be much, much lower, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we have students in a wide variety of niches. I think last time I checked, I think it's proven in over 37 markets, which is incredible. And my students have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue and millions in sales in just the past 12 months alone. And we see Augustas is part of that. We have many other students too. But it's a thriving community of hundreds of people in there, and we would love to have you too if you feel inspired by Augustas' story or someone else here. But this is real. I mean, it's hard to kind of fake this or anything like that. This is real people. You can reach out to them too if you're watching this somewhere online. You just reach out to them, connect with them and hear from themselves. If you think if you're watching one of my sessions or when we are posting this, you can just reach out to these students and talk to them. So Augustas, I really, really appreciate you for coming on here and sharing your story, inspiring so many people. So thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Navid. Pleasure to talk to you as always.